Hey there, I'm Frank Mitchell. On this channel, it's all about helping you understand your car and keeping it running the way it should. Whether it's routine maintenance or solving those tricky problems, I've got you covered. If you find this useful, give the video a like, hit that subscribe button, and be sure to watch till the end. You might learn something that saves you time and money. All right, let's get started.
If we have been using combustion engines for more than a century and there are still doubts about whether it is better to refuel here or there, imagine when it comes to charging an electric car. This is a technology that is starting to become part of our daily lives, but it is certainly still somewhat unknown to most users. To complicate things a little more, most electric cars offer several recharging alternatives, even with various types of electrical energy, single-phase, three-phase, or continuous. In reality, all this jumble of technical words, chargers, connectors, plugs, recharging points, basically speak of the same thing. Electricity, which is the only thing that powers the vehicle, and the different alternatives we have to put that energy in the car. In what vary is the speed with which the battery is recharged, and the price we pay for that speed. Where we can charge an electric car. While to refill the gas tank we are tied to do it at a gas station, there is much more variety of places where we can recharge the electric car, starting from the fact that we can do it in our own home, which is the most advisable from the point of view of saving in most cases. To charge an electric car we have mainly the following alternatives. In a conventional domestic socket, it is the slowest, but any grounded socket will do. At a charging point in our own home, wall box type or similar. At a public charging point, in a shopping mall, in a conventional service station, in a parking lot. At an electric station, which are specific stations for electric cars. At a supercharger, which are usually located at an electric station. How to charge an electric car at home. Charging an electric car at home is as simple as plugging in a cell phone or an iron, and we can do it in a conventional socket or install a charging point in our garage, which is the most advisable for safety and charging speed. Recharging the car at home is the most advisable because it is the cheapest and the one that will allow us to leave every day with a full tank. It is usual for a car to be stationary in the garage most of the day, at least all night. To install a charging point in a house with a single garage, it is obvious that there are no problems to install a charging point for our electric car, beyond the difficulty or ease of laying the power supply line from the meter, which is where the energy enters our house, to the charging point. In the case of having to install a charging point in a parking space in a collective parking lot, the law requires the owners' association to give permission to install a charging point in our parking space. Of course, the entire cost of the work will be borne by us. How much does it cost to install a charging point at home? The cost of installing a charging point is very variable because it depends on the difficulty and, above all, the distance between where we want or can install it and the electricity meter or connection to our home. As a reference, the charging point itself has a cost between 1,000 and 2,000 euros, to which we must add about 150 euros more for each meter of distance to the meter. Can I charge an electric car with a normal socket? Yes, it is possible to charge an electric car in a conventional domestic socket, but it is not recommended. Conventional sockets allow a very low charging power. The car's charging cable has a box with a safety system that normally limits the charging power below 2 kilowatts so as not to overload the socket's power line. How long does it take to charge an electric car at home? Depending on the size of the battery of our electric car, the charging time will be the result of dividing the battery capacity in kW/H by that 2 kilowatts. For example, an electric car with a 40 kilowatt-hour battery would take 20 hours to fully charge if it were completely discharged. As you can imagine, this charging time is not practical, so it is normal to install a charging point in our garage, either individual or community, which will allow us to increase the power we supply to the car and reduce the charging time. The recommended for an electric car is a charging point that supports between 7 and 11 kilowatts. This will depend a lot on the charging system that supports the car, if it is three-phase or single-phase, power of the charger integrated into the vehicle, etc. But with a single-phase charging point of 7 kilowatts, the car in the example above would be charged in just under 6 hours, compared to the 20 hours it would take in a normal outlet. At CarWow we have developed an electric car charging time calculator. Enter the approximate data of your car and find out instantly how long it will take to charge it and how much it will cost. How can I know the power I need to charge my car? To know the power we need to charge our car, we have to take into account three main things: how much our monthly bill increases when we increase the contracted power, what is the size, capacity of the batteries of our car, and how long the car is usually parked in the garage. It does not make sense to hire a very high power if our car usually spends 12 hours parked without being used. A large electric car has a battery around 70 kilowatt hours, so that with a power of 7 kilowatts and charge it in 10 hours completely. It is necessary to find a balance between the increase in the electricity bill and the time we need to charge the car. In addition, we must take into consideration that at home we do not only charge the car, we must keep a margin to connect the oven, washing machine, television, and avoid putting at the same time the consumers of more power. Can I charge an electric car with solar panels? Yes, we can use solar panels to charge the electric car, but we must take into account that the car is usually stopped at night, when the solar panels do not generate electricity, so we must install the panels with a battery so that when we park the car at night, we can transfer the electrical energy generated by the panels during the day to the car during the night. This battery increases the cost of installing solar panels. Generally, 6 solar panels produce about 2 kilowatts of power. As we said that the ideal is to have a recharging power around 7 kilowatts, we will need to install around 20 panels. How to charge an electric car at public access points in addition to charging our car at home or at a private charging point, at our workplace, for example. We can also do it in petrol stations, service stations with charging points, and public parkings. There are even shopping centers and companies that offer free charging points. Little by little there is a more numerous network of recharging points, although it is still somewhat scarce for now. Recharging itself is just as easy as at home, just plug the car into the recharging post. However, access to and payment for charging is sometimes complicated, because many of these charging points belong to networks and companies to which we must be subscribed or, at least, have their app installed on our cell phone. Because of this, it is very important to check beforehand on a map of recharge points which ones are closest to us and make sure that we can use them ourselves through our app or if we have the card of that company. One of the advantages of recharging the electric car in these public charging points, especially in the case of electric charging stations, is that they usually offer high charging power, so that in a short time we recover a lot of autonomy. The downside of this is that the faster they recharge, the more expensive the rate that will be applied, so we must be sure that our car accepts these fast charges and that we are going to take advantage of it in time. How long do I need to charge my car at an electric station? This depends on the power of the charging point and the capacity of our battery. The usual charging power at the charging stations is between 50 and 150 kilowatts. If our car supports that charging power and has a battery with a capacity of 70 kilowatt hours, it would be charged between an hour and a half or half an hour, although in the case of charging powers higher than 100 kilowatts, we cannot charge the battery beyond 80% at that speed. Car batteries are filled in a similar way as we do with a bottle of water. At the beginning we can open the tap to fill it quickly, but as we get closer to the neck of the bottle we have to close the tap and fill it more slowly to prevent the water from spilling out. Electric car batteries, with current technology, cannot be charged in superchargers at full power up to 100%. How much does it cost to charge a car at a charging station? The question many people ask themselves. How much does it cost to recharge an electric car? Recharges at service stations are more expensive than at home and we pay largely that higher recharging speed. Recharging a 70 kilowatt-hour battery at a recharging point where we will be connected for an hour and a half or so will cost us around €60. Guide to electric car charging. Unfortunately, electric car charging is not very standardized and there are several alternatives. There are models that charge with single-phase alternating current, others that also support three-phase current, and others that even accept ultra-fast charging with direct or direct current. To avoid mistakes, the DC and AC plugs are different, but there are also different types of connectors in the AC plugs, although in Europe the most widespread is known as the Monique's type, or Type 2, but there are several formats, as we will see below. Electric vehicle charging modes. There are 4 electric vehicle charging modes, differentiated mainly by the power supply range and therefore, the charging speed. Mode 1 is the slowest mode, known as emergency recharge, and is the one used when connecting the vehicle to a conventional Schuko plug. Mode 2 is a normal charging mode with powers up to 3.7 kilowatts with single-phase alternating current. Mode 3 is a semi-fast charging mode with power ratings between 7.1 and 22 kilowatts normally. It is carried out with single-phase or three-phase alternating current. Mode 4, ultra-fast charging mode, with power ratings between 50 and 300 kilowatts with direct or direct current. Types of electrical connectors and chargers. Each type of charging requires one or more types of connectors to charge electric cars. At present, there are mainly the following types of plugs. Schuko plug. It is used for what is known as emergency recharging. It is a cable that allows to connect the charger integrated in the car with any domestic plug that has an earthed socket. It is the most universal, but also the slowest. Type 1 plug. Its technical name is SAE J1772. It is a type of connector widely used in Japan. It is the most common in the first electrical models. It has 5 terminals, 2 for communication with the vehicle, phase, neutral and ground. It only admits loads with single-phase alternating current. Type 2 plug, better known as Monique's, it is the most common standard in Europe. It has 7 terminals, of which 2 are for communication, 3 for the phases, 1 neutral and 1 ground. This allows it to accept loads with both single-phase alternating current and three-phase alternating current. Type 3 plug, known as SCAME, it is no longer used because it was discarded in Europe, where Type 2 or Monique's was chosen as standard. CHAdeMO plug, it has 10 terminals, which allows it to be used both for alternating current loads, single-phase and three-phase, and direct current loads. It is a Japanese standard, but several European manufacturers also use it. CCS plug, known as Combo 2, this type of plug is the one that Europe and the USA have adopted as standard. It allows recharging in modes 2, 3 and 4 with a single socket. It is a kind of Monique's with the addition of 2 more large terminals at the bottom, which are used for fast DC recharging. Wireless chargers, not very widespread. It is likely that wireless induction chargers for electric cars will eventually be imposed. They work by induction. Types of electric vehicle charging. As we have seen so far, there are several ways to charge the electric car and they mainly differ in the energy power we supply and the time it takes to charge the batteries. For the same recharging power, it will be the size of the battery, its capacity, that will determine the recharging time of the electric car and its autonomy. Taking into account the speed of recharging the batteries, the following types of recharging are available for electric cars. Conventional recharging, with powers between 1 and 3.7 kilowatts, with single-phase alternating current. Semi-rapid recharging, with power ratings between 7.4 and 50 kilowatts, with single-phase or three-phase alternating current. Fast recharging, with power ratings above 50 kilowatts, always with direct current. In conclusion, charging your electric car is a straightforward process once you know where to look and how to do it. Whether you choose to charge at home, at work, or at public charging stations, understanding the different charging levels and their respective times can help you plan your journeys more efficiently. Always keep an eye on your battery level and take advantage of the growing network of charging stations available. With a little preparation, you can enjoy the benefits of electric driving while contributing to a more sustainable future. Thank you for watching, and happy charging!